Good morning, everyone. This is Nikachu, Merfolk Master, and good morning to the morning talk show where we discuss all things Magic: The Gathering. If you want to be part of the conversation, get your questions answered. We do Q&A and general Magic discussion. You better believe you're in the right place. And we also do Decklist review. So in the second part of this show, if you got a 75 that you want to get some feedback on, see what it looks like, maybe improve the mana base or the win condition, both myself and the community can give you that feedback. So welcome to Coffee and MTG for January 1st, 2021. And Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everybody who can, if you are a time traveler from the past who traveled to the future, assuming that in the year 2021 we'd have flying cars, and we've cured cancer, and everything is peaceful and harmony, and the buildings are made out of computers, you're completely wrong. We are so far away from any of that. That most certainly has not happened. Everything prophesized in the comic books has not come to fruition whatsoever. Things have taken all sorts of different directions. But anyway, good morning to everyone. Brew up the coffee and let's brew up the magic. Happy New Year, Juan, and good morning, Joe. We got a little bit of a nice little pleasant surprise here for the new year. There was a new card spoiled for Time Spiral Remastered. We got ourselves. Are you ready? We got a new card. And by the way, thank you very much, everyone who shows up on Facebook and YouTube at the same time. I love you. I love all of you. I love that we can cover a lot of ground on all the other social media platforms these days. Anyway, we have a new one. Lotus Bloom. I believe this is a new art. I'm not familiar with this art. So we have new Lotus Bloom with the old frame. I like that. I like that they just made the like time spiral symbol a little crooked. I like that. I like that a lot. It's elegant, it's simple, it's not like, I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm getting tired of some of these set symbols. I should rank the set symbols. There's a lot of bad ones out there. Not enough that are like, these days, like I'm looking at some of these set symbols, I'm like, what the hell set was this from? Anyway, Lotus Bloom, very beautiful new art. Really excited. Oh, so it has to be old. Christopher Rush. And also, so when did this Lotus Bloom art come out? I was not familiar with this one. Because Christopher Rush is dead. Let's just get that out of the way. Oh. So it is. Oh, this is some sort of. Well, this is Time Spiral promos. Oh, this was a promo during the Time Spiral block. They're just actually reprinting the promo. Interesting. All right, not new art. New art to me. I think it's going to be new art to a lot of people. I'm not familiar with this art whatsoever. I'm not really a Lotus Bloom player, though. Happy New Year. So I just had a crazy game where my opponent dealt 10 damage to themselves with their Shocks and Thought Seizes, and then they feed the Swarm my Bone Crusher. How did that work out? So hold on, they dealt 10 damage to themselves. Then we've got Bone Crusher Giant, who says, if you target me, deal 2 damage to that spell's controller. Feed the Swarm. Says, destroy target creature enchantment. You lose life equal to that permanent's converted mana cost. So hold on, is the converted mana cost 5 on this? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Because it includes the Stomp? Or does it just include the 3? So they like went down to 5. Whatever. I'm assuming your opponent started with an insanely low life total. Is what I'm gathering here. Kamigawa's symbol looks better. I like some of Kamigawa's symbol. You think this is going to be the chase rare of the set? Long time no see. How is my favorite Merfolk Daddy? I'm doing great. I didn't qualify for the Mana Trader series. That's a little embarrassing. I had a really bad start with Merfolk, and then no matter what variations I started playing later on, it could not dig me out of the hole that I started. I realized if you start off bad in the Mana Trader series, because you need to have like a 60% win percentage after 30 games, but if you start off catastrophically bad, then you need to like win at like, I don't know, 85% for the rest of the event in order to qualify. And I screwed up, so I didn't get there. But I'm really hopeful for a lot of new variations of Merfolk going into the future. Love to refine Splinterfin. Definitely something there. Still is a good combo, and a lot of... I would love to start splashing a lot of colors. I am now ready to, we're people are like, why don't you splash white or green or something? Like, okay, we're gonna splash, or not green. We splash green many times. I'm willing to explore a lot of different colors, particularly white, to gain access to Path to Exile. And like Path to Exile, I think is maybe one of the best cards in Modern right now. Very specifically because not only does it deal with Death Shadow, but it deals with all the Lurrus decks in the metagame, and there are quite a few Lurrus decks that are trying to bring back their creatures from the graveyard back onto the battlefield. But if you play Path to Exile, they can't do that. They're gone. If they're dead, they're dead. So Path to Exile, a very good card in the metagame, and also maybe Celestial Purge. I definitely misspelled that. There we go. Exile target black or red permanent. Good against Shadow, good against Prowess. So also a very useful card, I think, in the metagame going forward. So you might start seeing Nikachu splash white to gain access to these cards. And like we gotta, I gotta interact with creatures. What can I say? I gotta start interacting with creatures, and these creatures are a real pain in the ass. They're all a real pain in the ass. Good morning, Fish Fam. Good morning. Happy New Year, Carlos. Happy New Year, Paulo. Hope everyone had a good Happy New Year. I'm getting old. I can't even stay up until like 12 o'clock at night anymore. Nikachu went to sleep early. He went to 5 without me doing anything. No surprise I won. So you just had to... Basically, they died to the slightest, I don't know, breeze for the most part. When you start the game at 5, it's not very good. Exile permanent, so can exile planeswalkers and enchantments. Yes, but so long as they're black or red. So long as they're black or red. Which includes like nothing? I don't know. What planeswalkers can you exile with Celestial Purge in the modern metagame right now? I guess Liliana the Veil, but that's crappy value. Liliana, if I get edicted, that is totally a 2-for-1. Maybe Chandra, Torch of Defiance, not a very popular card, but still out there. What can we exile with Celestial Purge in the metagame right now? Nikachu, please use your influence to get Faithless Looting. What are you talking about? What did you not see the video where I like reacted to how happy I was to that card game? But I am absolutely not fucking on that bandwagon whatsoever. We're not gonna get Faithless Looting unbanned. Do we want to turn Modern back into a shithole again? No, we do not. I was there. I was there when Faithless Looting was legal. It was terrible. It was such a bad time for everybody. Dredge will be all over that. Dredge will be on that like flies on shit, I promise you. How was my New Year's Eve? It was good. I enjoyed my New Year's Eve. I streamed for the most part. Liliana, Ren and 6. I don't even like exiling Ren and 6. It might be okay. Maybe against the Uro decks. Maybe that's okay. Because Ren and 6, I don't think is a big deal. At least for Merfolk, I don't care. Sure, ping stuff all you want. The metagame forced me to have like 2 toughness creatures anyway. When I look at you, Ren and 6, I laugh at you. The metagame forced me to play with 2 toughness creatures. It's not my fault. Blame the metagame, Ren and 6. Would Dimir be viable for Merfolk? Keep all the fish. Just put in some black excellent answers to support the swimmers. It's possible. It's possible. I'm really looking at the exiling stuff because that's... we did like sort of a metagame analysis the other day. And one of my greatest problems against Shadow, at the most part, is because of Lurrus. So, like, Rakdos Shadow plays Lurrus. Hammer Time plays Lurrus. Mill plays Lurrus. Well, Mill maybe is not a big deal. You can play Lurrus all you want. What else is playing? Well, I guess it's Shadow is the single largest problem I have. Shadow playing Lurrus is a problem. I can deal with Shadows, but if the game goes long, if I play for the long game, it's like my removal didn't even matter because they get the Lurrus, they play the Lurrus, they get the Shadow back, and I'm like, well, okay, I can't do anything, and I'm at a low life total, so now I'm like super dead. So that's the problem. That's the problem. So I need things like this. And you notice, you look at the metagame. Look, it's white. It's very white based. So Heliod Company playing white, or the Uro decks, they don't like playing Bolt. They play the Path to Exile, or they're all in on 4 Path to Exile. Aladdin Reese Toolbox, Path to Exile, Skyclave Apparition, Hammer Time, Path to Exile, Skyclave Apparition. So it's Death and Taxes, same deal. Path to Exile, Skyclave Apparition. You need to exile the creatures, including Uro. Like if Uro escapes, the only way you're going to deal with it is with Path to Exile. And Celestial Purchase, that's just the next best thing. Actually, another card I want to might be good is Winds of Abandon. This is played in the Death and Taxes deck. I think this card is sick. A white and generic, exile target creature you don't control. For each creature exiled this way, its controller searches their library for a basic land card. So it's sorcery speed, Path to Exile. Clunky at 2 mana. But you can blow your opponent's board up at 6 mana. So you actually have, in a really bad spot, you just rip this thing off the top of your deck, and then boom, say goodbye to everything on the battlefield for your opponent. They get a bunch of lands, but who cares? Who cares? Faithless Looting was my favorite card. Feels bad. You know what? Mox Opal was favorite card by another people too. Exiling Moon, also huge. That actually is pretty huge if you need it. We could do that at instant speed. So you can float the mana, let Moon resolve, exile it, and you get your mana back. Happy New Year, Jarl. Would you be fine with careful study in Modern Horizons 2? Probably not. That's my answer. I would not be okay with that. You're just playing with fire here. I do not like. Okay, so first off, and I've been very consistent with this. I have no problem with cantrips in Modern. I have no problem with that. But Faithless Looting was a very unique cantrip that put cards directly into the graveyard at a very low cost. Now I think 2 cards is too much. 2 cards is too much. 1 card is one card. Situationally, 1 card is enough with a lot of other spells. 2 cards is too much. I don't want to see careful study in Modern. It's probably okay, but you know what? Fuck it. Like, let's just be on the safe side. Modern. There's a lot of problems with Modern as it is. Lurrus, or maybe the companion mechanic should go away from Modern. Actually, it would appear that all the companions should go away. Look, it's just we looked at this yesterday. There's you're either a Titan deck, either Uro or Primeval Titan. You're either Aladdin Reese. Sorry, you're either a Heliod deck or you're playing with a companion. So we got Rakdos, we have Lurrus. Here we've got Lurrus with Hammer Time. Mono Red Aggro plays a Bosch. Mill plays Lurrus. Tron plays Cathena or whatever. What's her Gigantha. Death and Taxes plays Yorion. So actually, like, and then everything below this does not play a companion. And what do you know? So Ad Nauseam, Burn, Blitz, Gift Storm. Actually, Gift Storm sometimes plays a companion. Dredge, Teamer, Oops. Everything below here does not play a companion. What do you know? What a surprise. It appears that the decks that do not play a companion underperform versus the decks that do play a companion. Huh. Interesting. Isn't that something? I never would have thought. We should ban the companions. I'm actually pretty convinced. I didn't realize this until we analyzed this yesterday. We should ban the companions. It's over for you guys. It's over, companions. The jig is up. You're even with attacks, you're still an 8th card. And what Lurrus does, like, the thing is, especially when it comes to a Bosch, Yorion, and Lurrus, they both scale really well in the late game. So, like, if you play it in the late game, then things just go out of fucking control immediately. This Abosh is now dealing twice as much damage with the burn spells. Lurrus brings back, like, they just need to bring back 1 fucking card, and it's a 2 for 0. The Lurrus went on the battlefield, and they got something back from the graveyard, and then you're so far ahead of your opponent. And Yorion just needs to blink, like, 1 thing and get massive value. It's just, it's too much. Yes, we sometimes play Gigantha on Gift Storm. Yes, that's correct. Death and Taxes doesn't play companion 99% of the time. Not anymore. 99% of the time, you're playing Yorion. You see? You see Yorion, how often? Hold on. You can't see. You see Yorion. Let's see what percentage of the time. MTG Goldfish don't lie. Hey, where's Yorion? Okay, maybe you're right. It's not saying like in 100%. I know it's not in 100% of decks, but it's as I understand, it's like the new normal. See, here's a Yorion list from Spider Space. Let's just go down the lists. Peneps in a preliminary. Oh, no Yorion. Okay. Another one by Peneps. Parrot. What are you doing, Parrot? That one you plays Yorion. Metcalf. Kick my ass. Not long ago. Another Yorion list. So I feel like the majority is Yorion. They've gone the Yorion route. Once you go Yorion, you can't go back. You just can't go back. That's how it is. These companions are actually too much. The companions have taken over. Basically, find a way to squeeze a companion in your modern deck, or like don't bother. If you're a fair strategy, if you're an unfair strategy, you can get away with just not playing with it. So if you're like an aggressive combo deck, we're talking like Storm, Heliod Company, you can do okay. And then if you're going way over the top with value, with the Uro Omnath decks or the Primeval Titan decks, any Primeval Titan deck, I think you do fine without a companion. Happy New Year, Frederick. Fuck yeah, Coffee and MTG. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Dylan. Obosh is my lord and savior. Maybe it's time for Lurrus and Simic Merfolk. I could try it. It would I only get to access Lurrus when like if I get Ether Vial on 3, because going Bant is not worth it. Yeah, ban the companions. We're calling out the bans. Your decks are still going to be live. If your deck depended on the companion, then your deck is sad. That's all I'm going to say. Good morning, Papa Joe. Oh, you can't first get welcome, meme boss. Companions give the card advantage of divination and the selection of demonic tutor. It just dawned on me how powerful that 3 mana effect is. Yes, it is. Well, it's a little bit more than 3 mana. I mean, you spend 3 mana to put in your hand, but then you're investing some mana to actually just cast the card in general. Screwed up the companions, damn it. I miss Modern without standard shenanigans. I still like the concept of companions, but I don't like how restrictive it is. So only the decks that can play the companion can use the companion. I would much rather everyone is allowed to use the companion, make it a fair game. But it's not a fair game. Not everyone can use the companion. I'm actually shocked that more Tron players aren't playing Gigantha. But I think they are, aren't they? Like I don't know exactly the numbers of Gigantha, but I think they are running it in general. Oops, let's go back. Here's Tron. Yeah, a good chunk I think are running Gigantha. Do we got numbers here? Do we got numbers? I guess it's not going to be 100%. I mean, to be honest, if you're running Karn the Great Creator, you might want the 15th card in the sideboard. You were like, well, this fucking Gigantha doesn't do shit for me. How about Nastier? You playing Gigantha, you're on the Gigantha train. That's why you went 5-0. How about everyone else? Who went deep in some event? 19th place. 2nd place. What did you do? Chingab. No Gigantha. All right. You know what? Screw this data. This data's tainted. I've seen enough. Honestly, Gigantha might be like unnecessary in Tron. They're doing a lot of other crazy stuff. Nikachu, do you have a tip to clinching 5-0s? I've been stuck in 4-1s in the last 5 leagues with Burn. It's a bit demoralizing. I would say if you're consistently going 4-1 with Burn, you should start a Burn channel, because you know something that people don't. Consistently going 80% is fantastic, and you just can't force the 5-0s. There's no if you can get 4-1s that consistently, the 5-0 is gonna come through eventually, and that's just how it is. You can never force a 5-0. When they come, they come, because like they you have no You can't force victories in Magic. That's just not possible. There's so much luck involved. You need everything to come up perfectly for those 5-0s to come, and but you have to just keep jamming. That's all. The real secret is you keep playing. You keep playing until you get the 5-0, and if you play enough, you will eventually get one. That's it. So keep doing what you're doing. If you can go 4-1, you most definitely have what it takes to go 5-0. You're a 5-0 in my book, Papa Joe. You're a 5-0 in my book. Good thing no one uses Luris on Infect. Why don't they? Why don't they? That is interesting. They don't have any like really expensive permanents. Why don't they? Could go black-green with Luris in the sideboard, right? Couldn't they do that? Or even maybe Sultai? I don't know. I've seen some Bant lists with Giver of Runes as their means of protecting the to protect their creatures. They could easily have a Luris in that deck. Do you think companions will be printed again in 2021 sets so we have more options? I don't. You know what? I want to say yes. I hope not, because apparently it was just a catastrophic mistake. I cannot see the comments. Is it because I'm in Europe? It might be because you are on a different channel. So I'm on 2 YouTube channels and my Facebook fan page, so you do not see all the comments. You can only see what I select. I see all the comments from all my different social medias. So I don't know. I don't know. If you want to see more comments, you can switch to another my other YouTube channel. Biggest wish list card from Modern Horizons 2, Counterspell. Give me Counterspell. Fucking aren't like give it to me. Give it to me. Damn it. We're really long overdue for this Counterspell card. This is a bit stupid. Oh, Counterspell will create, you know, it will collapse the variation in deck building. Oh, you know, the difference between Mana Leak and Logic Knot and all these other counterspells. It's all going to go away. Well, what about the deck building choices that are squashed by Lightning Bolt? You know, no one thinks about the difference between like Seal of Fire or Wild Slash and another, because we just have Lightning Bolts. Just clear 1 damage, 1 mana, deal 3 damage. But they've got Lightning Bolt already. We don't have Counterspell. I don't care if it helps the Uro decks. Do not give a crap. Give me Counterspell anyway. If Counterspell is reprinted, I'd be playing Izzet Control instead. Go for it. It's like, this is definitely a format that could use Counterspell. This is definitely, Counterspell doesn't see any. I don't even know if it'll see as much play as well, it definitely will see play, but it will be harder to cast than people will think, because I think Mana Leak works. Let's talk a little bit about this. By the way, Counterspell will definitely see play, but the thing with Mana Leak that you can play it so easily is because there's a lot of multicolor decks, and even if you get Blood Moon, you can use the red mana from under the Blood Moon to cast your Mana Leaks. But the more blue intensive you make your deck with cryptic commands and counterspells, the more liable you are going to be to this sort of land hate, like Blood Moon. Counterspell, it costs double blue. It's serious. That's serious stuff. It's going to make you more choked on mana. I promise you. You're going to have to build your deck a little bit differently in order to accommodate Counterspell. It won't be your mana won't feel so free. You will feel more choked on blue mana in general, in my opinion. Counterspell won't be OP because of Teferi Time Reveler, another graveyard deck, so I think Counterspell is fine. Well, this Counterspell against Teferi, I mean, Teferi has been ruining all the counterspells for a very long time, so I don't think it would change all that much. Also, control players hate Teferi both ways. They just play it because they need to. I would trade Counterspell in a heartbeat for Uro's ban. Interesting. Don't worry, I don't think you need to trade anything for Uro's ban. Uro has dug his own grave. I have no idea how much time you have left, Uro. Maybe they're waiting for the 1-year anniversary. We are coming up to it. We're coming up to a year of Uro. Although the first month of Uro wasn't like very good. I mean, it was a good card, but no one knew how to make it work. But we're coming up to a year since Uro's release. When was Theros? When was the Theros set released? Theros Beyond Death. Maybe the anniversary of Theros Beyond Death, they're going to ban Uro. You got your year. And goodbye. Morning, Cody. Syncopate. Why isn't Syncopate not more played? It scales well. It doesn't scale well. That's the problem. You need to have more mana. You need to have more and more mana as your opponent has more and more mana. So, like, if let's say you want to tap out to play something, let's say you have 5 mana. Okay, let's get Syncopate. Like, these cards are notoriously, like, no format plays these cards. So Syncopate, there's a lot, there's like 8, 9, 10, I don't know, millions of counter spells with a blue and X, and if the opponent doesn't pay X, the card gets countered. No, the one advantage with Syncopate that it exiles the spell instead of putting it into the graveyard, so that's not too bad. That's actually a pretty big bonus, I would say. So your opponent plays Uro for 3 mana, it's Syncopate, and it just gets exiled, and then it's gone. But for the most part, it doesn't scale well. It scales very poorly because the moment you want to play a Planeswalker or something and have a little bit of mana up to counter your opponent's stuff, well, that little bit of mana doesn't work very well. You need to actually have a ton of mana, so you always have to be passing on with like a million mana in play, and that just doesn't work very well. These counter spells just end up playing out very, very poorly. Very, very poorly. Is it just Uro or the other cards you'd like to see banned from the Uro deck? I personally do not care about Uro. I know other people care about Uro. So, I mean, if Uro's in the format for another 5 years, I'm all for it because my win rate versus the Uro decks, I admit I'm a biased opinion here. I'm super biased. I do not care about Uro. I crush these decks because they're mostly heavy on counter spells. So I play with Aether Vial and Cavernous Souls, and I find just a little bit of graveyard hate usually deals with Uro. Relic of Progenitus sometimes gets my opponents to scoop on the spot, or they play Force Negation on it. I think Uro is very much under control. It's just when Uro is out of control that, you know, things get at, well, you know, you lose. You just lose. So outside of that, like things that I want banned from Modern, you know what? I was thinking about very select, very specific cards that I wanted to see banned from Modern, but now I'm thinking maybe we just axe the companions. Maybe that's just the problem. Like I'm having some trouble against, you know, like Abosh Prowess is tough and Death Shadow is tough, and now I'm realizing, you know what? Maybe it's because they have this companion that I can't deal with, especially Death Shadow, especially in the Death Shadow matchup. Or maybe I just have to adapt by exiling the creatures, but we do see that the fair decks that are doing the best are the ones playing the companions. Weird question, but how do professional Magic players manage the financials of MTG, such as keeping up to date with new cards? Do you manage a large collection or only what you need? Only what you need for the most part. I mean, I've heard different takes on people. Here's the deal. Most important thing for you to save money is to be part of an MTG group. Like have a network of friends that you can all borrow cards from each other like constantly, because there's a lot of professionals that will, or not even professionals or even grinders. They can play almost any deck at any time because they have a large enough network of friends that have a large enough collection that they can borrow cards from. Like even myself, like when my friends need something, they just say in the group chat, hey, does anyone got this card? I need this for this event. And like, yeah, we got this, we got that. Mark Coco Cluse's deck was like, I don't know, 70% borrowed cards, 30% cards that he had to buy on the spot. When Hogak was around, we lent him a ton of cards. So the larger the network of friends you have, the more cards you have access to. That's assuming you need to play like any deck at any given time. But still, like people still have to buy cards. I will say, like, I mean, if you look at Magic players, like none of them are rich. You know, do you ever see them? Do you ever see these MTG personalities? They're living in a house in the Bahamas or something like that, and it's all luxurious. Like for the most part, like yeah. And I think a lot would agree, for the most part, for a lot of at least the professional players, the competitive professional players, it's usually taking a lot more money than they're it's taking more money from them than it's giving back most of the time. Like the margins are really thin. There's very few people who are making good money at playing competitive Magic. So I mean, they do the same as maybe a lot. You can minimize the cost significantly within a group because you get to share the same hotel room, you can share the same travel expenses, you can borrow cards constantly, so you're not buying as many that you need to, but they still buy cards when they need to. I don't know what it's like exactly for standard. That might be worse. Maybe you're constantly buying cards, but I know for the other formats. Well, anyway, that's what I know. I hope that was a decent answer. And it's not a weird question either. It's a good question. A lot of people are like, how do you get, decks? How do you get cards? I mean, you have to borrow them. Borrowing them helps a lot. I think if ever, Condescend is more played than Syncopated Modern. Yeah, because Condescend is the blue X that lets you scry. But the advantage with Condescend is sometimes you're just using it to scry. You don't even need it to counter anything, and it's mostly for blue Tron, digging for their Tron pieces. If a Legacy Merfolk would get printed in Modern Horizons 2, which would you pick? Whirlpool Rider, Overtaker, Rootwater Thief? I don't think any of them. Okay, hold on. Let's look at them all. Whirlpool Rider. I don't know Whirlpool Rider. This one is a blue generic. ETB, shuffle the cards from your hand into your library, then draw that many cards. Interesting. Why do I not know this card exists? It's a 1/1 creature, though, so it sucks. Enter the battlefield, shuffle the cards from your hand into your library, then draw that many cards. You know what? Probably say nah to this one. Okay, well, I might have to end up saying yes because this probably is the best one out of all of these. No, I don't know what Overtaker is. What is Overtaker? This is a Merfolk. It's a spell shaper, probably errated to be a Merfolk, right? Merfolk spell shaper. All right. So blue generic 1/1. Discard a card from your hand, untap target creature, and gain control of it until end of turn. That creature gains haste. No, that's useless. That's a red effect. That's interesting. So this was originally blue, and then they gave it to red? How dare they? How dare... Everything has been taken from blue. This is an old card. That is an old card. And then I know the Empress Galena. She's pretty useless. 5 mana is too much. Gain control. Like in 5, we don't have time for 5 mana. And then Rootwater Thief is very useless. Blue and a generic, a 1/2 creature. I can pay a blue to give it flying, and whenever it deals combat damage, I can pay 2. If you do search to the library for a card, remove it from the game. 1 card is not a big impact to the game whatsoever. I choose none of these. I would rather they don't even bother. Don't even tempt me. I guess the best one, though, is the one that gets to shuffle my hand back into my library. I was watching your Getting Good at MTG Playlist, and it got me curious. Will you ever do an update to some parts of it since they merged friendly and competitive leagues? Maybe. I have a lot of plans for a lot of things, and I realized, well, I had some exclusive Patreon content very related to this stuff. And again, like that, some of that's out of date because there used to be friendly leagues and there used to be competitive leagues. I don't remember exactly the differences that I talked about there. I might, but like, well, whatever. I will have other competitive content coming up, but I don't know exactly what I want. I don't know how to update it because I haven't seen. I don't even remember what I said back then. But it is true, like that you used to be able to like stepping stone yourself into the competitive leagues, and now it's just all one big mess. But thanks for watching old content. I appreciate it. Should there be more subtypes like Snowlands instead of introducing stuff like Summerlands, or would that just be more messy? They could do that. I have no problem. They can go that direction. Whatever. Summer, Snowlands. So long as the Summerlands aren't strictly better basics. That's the only problem I have. Yeah, we need more ETB merfolk, to be honest. Like specifically ones that interact with the battlefield somehow. Do you think Mardu vehicles or Dwarf Tribal could be played in Modern? Yes, if they get not enough pieces. I don't think they have enough pieces yet, but when the pieces come together, I think like they need like maybe a few more dwarfs. There's definitely something there because they already have some busted dwarves. Their problem is they don't have a large enough density of dwarves. And you can't go like too all in on vehicles because then your opponents, especially with removal heavy decks, they just snipe down the creatures, or Kolaghan's command just gets that much better. Just gets that much better. Good morning. Good morning, Nardoto. Do you prepare detailed sideboard plans before a tournament, or do you figure it out on the spot after game one? Absolutely not. I have detailed sideboard plans, and I share them on Patreon, and I use the same sideboard. Your greatest advantage, people, your greatest advantage. I hated how pros would look down on sideboard guides, and I still think people are underrating sideboard guides. I actually think sideboard guides are fantastic. They are way more accurate for decision making than trying to figure anything out on the spot. So here, tell me this. Do you know the 75 to all these decks? Do you? Do you know their entire 75? Do you know their sideboard? Do you know their sideboards? Do you know what they're bringing in against you? Do you know them? No, of course you don't fucking know them. You don't know every single deck off on the spot. That's insane. So let me tell you this. Let's say you are up against Death Shadow and they thought seize you, and then they kill a creature and they play a big Death Shadow, and then they attack you to death with, I don't know, they just kill you. Did you know enough? Did you learn enough about their deck? Do you know if they're Rakdos or Jund? Do you know if they're Aluris? Well, you'd know if they're Aluris version because they would reveal that. But then do you know exactly what their sideboard is? Like you can look at, like, do you know they play with Blood Moon? Is that something you should be playing around going into game 2? You can't figure that out after game 1. Like no one's going to figure that out. So sideboard guides figure that out for you, in my opinion. Like you can make plans against general archetypes going into game 2 before the tournament has started. You can make those strategic decisions in advance. And I can look at like Kozilek's Return. All right, I don't know that going into game 2, going completely blind. I didn't see Kozilek's Return in game 1. I don't know I have to play around this card. But now that I'm looking at the sideboards, okay, I have to play around Kozilek's Return. How do I attack Blood Moon? I'm going to keep my Ether Vials in my deck. I'm going to side out some of the green cards so I'm not hit as hard when they play Blood Moon. So I can make those strategic decisions when I'm constructing my sideboard guide, but I can't make those strategic decisions right on the spot. And you will make way more, in my opinion, people will make way more mistakes if they're playing on the seat of their pants than if they have a sideboard guide. So I can construct based on the sideboards that I see from decks exactly how I want to play my games 2 and 3, how I want to play on the play, how I want to play on the draw, based on what I see in the sideboards of all these other decks. So I think sideboard guides very underrated in Magic. They're still underrated, grossly underrated. And there's a lot of okay, there might be some pros that are like, okay, I know all the decks. I've play tested everything. I grind 10 hours a day. Okay, good for you. But what about your average player that gets in, like, I don't know, 10 matches a month because they can only play the every second FNM, like, and they're saying, well, sideboard guides are a crutch. Figure it out for yourself. Yeah, but they're not putting in as many reps. So they don't see those cards coming in from the sideboard. In my opinion, sideboard guides are very valuable, and we're seeing them more often at top level. When I'm watching these live broadcasts of the Pro Tour, I can see them pulling out the sideboard guide, figuring out what do they want to do. So it's becoming more and more reliable, even at a professional level. Anyway, sideboard guides are great. Don't let any pros say otherwise. They don't understand. They've put themselves to a level where maybe they don't need the sideboard guide, maybe, but I still think it's still very valuable for almost everybody else. Okay, I might be a little bit lost, so I'm just going to look. Oh, you want to do deck list review? All right, let's do deck list review. Why not? All right, so you know how this all works. You want your deck list reviewed by myself and the community. Share your deck list in my Discord. There is a Discord link in the description. Go into the description, whether on Facebook or YouTube, doesn't matter. Go to my Discord. There is a channel called Deck List Review, and then enter the command !review deck space. Give the URL to your deck, and it'll say you're put in a queue. You are not put in a queue. You have no position. You are chosen completely at random, and if you are chosen at random, you will be eligible for feedback. You talk about Thief of Sanity? I have not talked about Thief of Sanity. I could use some sanity right now. So use your... What about Thief of Sanity anyway? So anyway, !review space your URL, and you'll be eligible for some feedback for deck list review. And before we get into deck list review, we are going to thank our sponsors, starting with themanabase.com, your home base for everything Magic the Gathering. And the Manabase is supported and sponsored by FusionGamingOnline.com. They have a deal of the week every single week, so you always want to check out Fusion Gaming every week to see what the new deal is. The deal is this week, save 15% off all Modern Masters singles. We're talking Chalice of the Void, Cryptic Commands, Tarmogoyfs, Fetch Lands, Dark Confidants. You better believe it, they got it. 15% off Modern Masters singles. Remember, this is a Canadian site in Canadian prices. Don't be caught off guard if everything looks like it's $1 million. It's just because the Canadian dollar sucks. That's all. That's all. I don't understand. We have such a good economy and such a strong country. I don't understand why our dollar is just garbage compared to everything else. But that's how it is. That's just how it is. And we're also going to thank our sponsor, Mana Traders, the premier place to rent Magic cards online. And if you want to turn your brew into a reality, the best way to do it is to borrow the cards with Mana Traders. And you can support the channel by using my Mana Traders link in the description below. Or you can save yourself 15% off by using my coupon for the first 3 months by using my coupon code Nikachu. How does everyone like deck list review? I think people love it. Rate deck list review. All right, next person in queue. Dyer with the message. There's no message. All right, Dyer. All right, Dire Wolf. Let's do this. Congratulations. You are the next contestant on deck list review. Elves, green-black elves, actually. So we have Elvish Mystic, Heritage Druid, Llanowar Elves, 3 Nettle Sentinel, Dwindon's Elite, Elvish Clan Caller, Druid, Azuri, Shaman of the Pack, Steel Leaf Champion, Nisa of the Shadowed Bows. Bows? What the hell does she do? She's so blurry. Even when we zoom in 20 times, still blurry. Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, put a loyalty counter on Nisa of Shadowed Bows. Untap target land you control. You may have it become a 3/3 elemental creature with haste until end of turn. Haste and menace. And -5, you may put a creature card with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of lands you control on the battlefield from your hand or graveyard with 2+1/+1 counters on it. Scrap this card. This card is trash. This is a bad card. You know it's bad. You only have one of them in your deck. You know it. Just get rid of this thing. Winding Way. Choose target creature or land. Reveal the top 4 cards of your library. Put all cards of the chosen type revealed this way into your hand. The rest into your graveyard. So this is like a cheaper version of the 3 mana one that you like look 6 deep. I think this is fine though. For collected company, Pithing Needle and Throne of God's Pharaoh in the main deck. Why is Pithing Needle in the main deck? So we were looking for room for something? I would have Assassin's Trophy in the main deck before I had Pithing Needle. So Throne of God's Pharaoh. At the beginning of your end step, each opponent loses life equal to the number of tapped creatures you control. That's not bad. Like, that's not bad at all. But this deck is still going to have... Its underlying problem is still going to be... I don't think it's changed. You only have 10 black sources. Is that enough for a deck that's playing with Shaman of the Pack? 10 black sources? Can you add black with anything else? 10 black sources. Is that enough for a deck that's playing with Shaman of the Pack? 10 black sources? Can you add black with anything else? 10 black sources? Can you add black with anything else? 10 black sources? Can you add black with anything else? 10 black sources. All right, let's look at the comments. I did with 2 pithing needles. 2 pithing needles? You know what? It's like, it's okay, but I would rather you just had something a little bit more useful. I would dump the Nissa, put pithing needle in the sideboard, put the 2... you've got 2 Assassin's Trophy. I would just put that in the main deck. I don't know exactly what you need Pithing Needle for. I mean, Pithing Needle, it's somewhat versatile right now. It's actually quite well positioned. I mean, you can name Planeswalkers against Uro. I don't think you can name anything in the Rakdos Shadow deck outside of like Bomat Courier. You can nail a few things against Heliod Company. I think it's useless versus Rakdos midrange. You can name like Elvish Reclaimer and the Elvish... in the Titan deck. You can name some stuff in Hammer Time, but it's more of a side. It just feels too much more of a sideboard card. I could get behind another Throne of God's Pharaoh. Here's one thing I'm not thrilled with. This deck is still weak to a lot of spot removal, particularly the spot removal that deals 1 damage to things. Like that's the overall problem with these archetypes. And you know what? Azuri might be win more at this point. It's very hard to pull off anything on Azuri right now. Getting a lot of mana is just very, very difficult. Shaman of the Pact might be okay because you just put this thing on the battlefield and boom. I have a question for any elf players out there. How much mana do you need? Like, how much black mana do you need in general? I feel like this is low. This is 10 black sources. Is that enough? Maybe. Hold on, what does Frank Karsten say? $11. So you're close. Okay, I could pull you some slack. 10 might be enough. And you don't need to do it on curve anyway, either. Nissa can fetch Tarmogoyf from the graveyard because he costs 2. She's played like a tutor. I don't get it. I'm guessing this is not related to this. So Boyish Robot says, in the main, let's cut the Pithing Needle in the Nissa, add the Assassin's Trophy, side out the Gaia's Blessing. Well, there is Mill. It's actually a real deck in the metagame, believe it or not. Like, look at this, 2.6%. It's ahead of Amulet Titan for crying out loud. If you told me Mill would have a higher meta percentage over Amulet Titan, even in the short run, I would not believe you. I would think you're full of fucking baloney. Is what I think. So I can, but you don't need 2 of them, right? You might just need 1. 1 might be more than enough. And I don't think we can afford to play duress effects, to be honest, because we're still running Cavernous Souls, and this can only cast creatures. So, okay, what I'm getting down to, you need a certain density of creatures. I like Steel Leaf Champion, but I also understand it usually has no synergy with these types of elf decks, because this is like a beatdown card, and this is just like a deck that's trying to like spew a bunch of stuff on the battlefield, which I think is totally fine. Maybe you could use more Winding Ways and keep filling up your hand. But my problem is the creatures die so easily. Maybe that... I don't mind this Jorgana... Is it Jorgana? What's the multi-kicker elf? Yeah, we only need 1. Warcaller? No, I don't think it's Warcaller. Is it Warcaller? Oh, it is Draga. Okay, Draga, Warcaller. Maybe some of these to help beef up your creatures. For 3 mana, it will come into play as a 2/2 creature, which is not bad. Like, I'm trying to survive Lava Darts here, you know what I mean? Lava Dart is a big portion of this metagame. Both Izzet Prowess and Mono Red Prowess are very popular. There's a lot of spot removal. There's also a lot of Kozilek's Return. Did you see the Kozilek's return? Let's look at the Kozilek's return just to remind people that Kozilek's return is in the format. That's gonna fucking wipe your board away. It will kill all the elves. They're gonna go extinct. The Eldrazi are gonna arrive. So, but we can play around this, right? So there were some. I'm losing. Close some tabs here. I actually think if in your flex spots like Azuri and Steelleaf Champion, we should play more Lords to try to get out of range of dying to things like Kozilek's return and all this other nasty stuff. Or maybe you can go a little bit more all in on Steelleaf Champions, which are just a big creature by itself, survives Lightning Bolt and stuff like that. I think Steelleaf Champion is a sick creature. 5/4. I want this in my Vile deck, in my opinion. I'd put that in a Vile deck if I could. Yeah, the War Caller. So, I mean, see if you get what I'm saying. Like, I just want to beef up your deck a little bit so you don't die to the board wipes, because that's your main. Like, I think if your opponent's not interacting with your creatures, you're going to win anyway. But if your opponent's interacting with your creatures, you're doomed. And you actually have some room. I think there's some room these days to like not get the board wipe so easily. So you have 8 Lords here, but what to cut? Well, this is definitely a cuttable card. Well, you're playing with Collected Company, which is fine. So this is a cut. Nisa's a cut. I actually think Azuri is not as necessary, especially if you're trying to win with Shaman of the Pact or Throne of God's Pharaoh, Throne of the God Pharaoh. I think it's reasonable if you put another one of these in the deck. I think that's totally reasonable, and you just add mana and make your opponent lose life. I think Death Shadow actually might have a huge problem against a card like this. They might have a huge problem. So I could get behind, even though it's legendary, I could get behind playing a second one of those. And then maybe add some more Lords, or maybe more Steelleaf Champions. You need to be able to survive some board wipes and a lot of that tiny stupid spot removal and the 2 damage removal and crap like that. Anyway, that's all I gotta say. I think the sideboard is fine. You got Surgical Extraction, Collect Roof, Damping Sphere. Damping Sphere might not be as good as it used to be. Like, what does it really hit these days? No, 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 maybe, but probably no, 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 sort of, no, 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 sort of, no, sort of. So I think I actually think Damping Sphere might be overrated at this point. It's not good against any. It's like not. It's okay against some decks, but it's just useless against a bunch of other stuff. So you can open this up for sideboard slots for something else. Return to Nature is totally fine. Guys, bless you. You probably only need one of these. Sorcerer's Spyglass is fine. Weather the Storm is fine. Realmwalker is the next tool for elves. It's possible that all this empty slots that we said we could get rid of, you could fill those slots up with Realmwalker. That's totally possible. Choke, that's a good one. Choke is a great suggestion. Let's put some chokes on the sideboard. Very, very good card. It'd be nice. Hold on. What does that card make your opponent gain life equal to the power of their creatures? I think that might be worthwhile. I actually really like the Eldrazi Tron. Not a very big deck in the metagame right now. It's like that's the point. Like, and honestly, I don't even think it's that effective. So choke is possible. There's also this one green. I don't know if it's that good, but there's like a green card that you make your opponent gain, or a target player gains life equal to the largest creature that they have. Inscription of Abundance. So I never actually played with this card, but I imagine this is good. Last time I played Elves, I only lost to the Shadow decks, and I wasn't bringing this card in because I didn't read it properly. So you can, you can kick the spell. So it at the very least, it has actually other modes. So you can put counters on creatures. Hopefully that Draga War Caller that you don't have yet. But you Can also fight creatures, or target player gains X life, where X is the greatest power among creatures they control. So like in response to like, I don't know, a burn spell, you can protect your creature and make your opponent gain enough life that they kill their death shadows or whatever. I like this. I like this combo a lot. I think it's really cool. But this is an option. At first I thought, well, this card is stupid, but like when are we fighting anything? But I'm like, hey, make those decks lose their death shadows. Not bad. So that's an option. I don't know if it's if it's actually that good, but I think it's an option. Because I never actually played with the card. Because once you put your death shadow opponent back to 20 life, I mean, well, you still have to kill them somehow, you know what I mean? And maybe with Shaman of the Pack, the deck is fine against Death Shadow because they put themselves to like 8 life, and then, oh, look at that, Shaman of the Pack you twice, and now you're dead. I don't know if it's going to play out like that because they've got tons of removal and stuff. You know, those removal decks, they got removal. Anyway, that's my advice. Protect yourself from the sweepers, and good luck. Sweet list. I really want to build a Vile Elves deck again because that Steel Leaf Champion is just fucking sexy. 5/4 creature. That's not bad. You can't even get blocked by fucking tokens. Bring on your entire art. That's right. You can't get blocked by. So you can have 1,000,000 Field of the Dead tokens, and this thing will just storm right through. Can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. That's an advantage. That's an edge in this metagame right now. I don't know if people have tapped into. That's an edge that I don't know if people have tapped into. All right, let's move on with Decklist review. Good luck with your list, Dyer. Next person to be queued, Katoben. Congratulations, Katoben. You're the next contestant on Decklist review. Are you going to play on Twitch today? I am not going to play on Twitch today. I've been on Twitch like all fucking week. I'm taking a break today. We've got Burn? Burn? It's been a while, Burn. All right, Goblin Guide. Oh, God, are we going to see the cards? Oh, we can't. So I just have to click on them? That's fine. Better than nothing. So we have Goblin Guide. We got all the usual suspects. Lava Spike, Lightning Bolt, Boros Charm, Helix, Searing Blaze, Skullcrack, Rift Bolt, Scare the Critics. Core Fire. Okay, so let's just go to the side. Clifftop Retreat. No, fuck no. Get rid of this card. Why? You have this card. That's fine. Why? Sacred Foundry. Is this a budget deck? Because you have no fetch lands. That's very important when you're playing Searing Blaze. Can you help with the sideboard? I will help with the sideboard, but I'm just letting you know you need fetch lands, all right? Any red fetch land will do, because you just needs to grab them out and get your, I don't know, get Bloodstained Mire at the cheap. It's a huge burden that you are not playing with fetch lands so that you can Searing Blaze your opponents on their turn. That's very, very important. And also, Clifftop Retreat, you're going to have a lot of, like, one landers you got to keep with burn, and this is going to come into play tapped, and you're going to be a turn slower than you want to win the game. So this is an unplayable land. You need more Inspiring Vantage at the very least. I would play like 2 more Inspiring Vantage, 7 mountains if I had to, but you got to go. You got the Sacred Foundries on the Sunbait Canyons. You got to get some fetch lands in here. Like you got to maximize. You got to squeeze everything you can out of burn. Let's look at the sideboard. 2 Core Firewalker. You could go up on that, I'm sure. Satyr Fire Dancer. Whenever an instant or sorcery spell you control deals damage to an opponent, it deals that much damage to target creature that player controls. I don't know if this is a good sideboard card. Like, this is a good card you'd want to have maybe in the main deck. That you just might want in the main deck. Whenever an instant or sorcery spell you control deals damage to an opponent, Satyr Fire Dancer deals that much damage to target creature or player. It's okay, but like, what are we interacting with here in the metagame? All right, Uro does absolutely nothing. Rakdos Shadow, probably still nothing, and they'll probably kill it if it's a problem. Healed Company, probably not much. Maybe it's okay. You kill those creatures while you're burning their face. Maybe. Rakdos Midrange, nothing. They'll kill it or Thoughtseize it. Toolbox, Latimre's Toolbox, probably nothing. Sultai Uro, nothing. Hammer Time, probably is a good spot here. This is probably a good matchup for it. It's just a weird sideboard card, and I don't know if it has enough relevant matchups. Like, it looks like it's good for creature-based matchups. There's not many creature-based matchups here. Or if you're bringing in against, say, the prowess decks, they'll kill it on the spot for sure with Lava Dart or something. It won't live long enough to actually have an effect. Path to Exile, great. Deflecting Palm, great. Smash to Smithereens, very, very good. Rest in Peace, very, very strong. Roiling Vortex is fine. I think you should just remove your Satyr Fire Dancer. You got to sell me on this. Could be a budget deck. So it is on a budget. All right. How many white cards are there in this deck? 1, 2. You have double Core Firewalker on the sideboard. I'm telling you, this Clifftop Retreat is a beating. You might want to have one more land in this deck just so that you have a little bit better chance of having a mountain in your hand. So you can go mountain turn 1, Clifftop Retreat turn 2. This sucks. You should this isn't even that expensive. Buy this fucking card. How much are you? You're $2. This thing is, even on a budget, you have cards in your sideboard that are worth more than this. What is a Rest in Peace? It's about the same. Market price $259. This is way worse. Clifftop Retreat is not even close. Get more Inspiring Vantages. 2 more. I don't know. Play at most 1 Clifftop Retreat. This is a very bad. It's a bad land. You're a bad land. And I'm not talking about the Rakdos land from Revised. I'm talking you're a bad land. Get out of here. Do you have enough white sources for Core Firewalker? Probably. 4, 8, 10, 13? Oh, probably not. You actually need more white sources for Core Firewalker, to be honest. You're very low on the white sources because you don't have the fetch lands. This is going to be a clunky card. Still might be playable. Still a high impact and all that. Well, you can still play Searing Blaze. You just play it at sorcery speed. That's all. Grim Lavamancer is worse without fetch lands, but I think is still playable. You're still feeding the graveyard. I think it's okay. Look, we got 4, 8. We have 13 white sources. That's more than enough to cast your Boros Charms and your Lightning Helixes on curve. I'm not going to rag on that. Clifftop Retreat is more expensive than... Is it? No, that would be... That Clifftop Retreat. That's a plot twist. Holy shit, you're right. So, okay, here's the battle plan. Here's the battle plan, Ben. We're selling these Clifftop Retreats and buying Aspiring Vantages. We might even have a little bit of money left over for a fetch land while we're at it. Because you're going to get $12. How much is a Bloodstained Mire? How did I spell this wrong? This looks identical to one of these. $21. It's shit. Okay, forget it. We need 3. We can sell 3 Clifftop Retreats and maybe get one of these. But we still need 2 Aspiring Vantages. Point is, dump this card. It's not good. I mean, it's probably not budget though, right? That's probably expensive. Now, the sideboard, I think you got an okay sideboard. Core Firewalker is clearly worse than you want it to be because you don't play with fetch lands, so getting the double white is actually more problematic than you would like. Getting the single white is easy. So like Path to Exile, Deflecting Palm, the Rest in Peace, these are all online. I can get behind all these cards, so it's not a problem. Is there anything better we can recommend than Satyr Fire Dancer? Is there anything better? Like, do we play another Roiling Vortex to prevent those Uro decks from getting anything going? Is Wooded Foothills cheaper? Okay. Let's investigate Wooded Foothills. The finance community has come out. Why is it telling me it hasn't found anything? Oh, this is not that much cheaper. I mean, come on. Slightly played, $25. What has happened? What's going on with the price of Magic cards? Yeah, Fabled Passage is too clunky. You know what? You can't run basic planes. Honestly, if this person owned Prismatic Vista, I would recommend it just so that you can find basic mountain and still like lightning heal. Searing Blaze. Have that option. But can we anyway? Can we recommend anything for the sideboard? I don't like the Satyr Fire Dancer. If anything, I would prefer that other card. What's the other card that you can like Rift Bolt somebody and it's a 6/6 creature? Because there's like a much better version of this card. You know what? I mean, if you want, you can just upgrade it to what is the what's the 6/6 creature? Costs a ton of mana, but it costs one less for every damage the opponent took that turn. Pretty impressive creature too. Does the same thing as Satyr Fire Dancer, except it's a 6/6 creature. I don't remember what it's called though. Something Phoenix? Is it a Phoenix? It's an elemental. Chandra's Incinerator, yeah. Okay, so this is the same thing as that Satyr Fire Dancer, except it's a 6/6 creature with trample. So it's like a Titan, basically. Anyway, the spell costs X less to cast, where X is the total amount of non-combat damage dealt to the opponent this turn. So what you can do is, here's the battle plan. And maybe, as people recognize, they said, you know what, the Grim Lavamancer might not have the right synergy in this deck. Maybe you replace Grim Lavamancer with a few of these. You might have to up... So the point is, you like Rift... You can either, if you have 3 mana up, you can bolt your opponent twice and then cast this for 1 mana. Or you can suspend Rift Bolt turn 1. Next turn, on your turn, you burn your opponent for 3. Just cast a Rift Bolt, deal another 3 damage, and to pay 1. So on turn 2, you can have this out. You can have a 6/6 creature out. This is not that bad. If you want this effect. I think if you want this, if you like this Satyr Fire Dancer effect, you actually should get it through Chandra's Incinerator instead, because this creature is just much more resistant. And to be honest, I think this... I mean, if I were to... If you were up against Prowess or something, this thing looks amazing, because it's just a huge fucking big creature. Like, what are they going to do? They've got to trade a Prowess creature and probably a million burn spells with this thing, if they even want to trade. Where are the Seal of Fire that with Rift Bolt makes Incinerator? I mean, I think you can just... I literally think you can just cast this thing. If you have 4 mana and you have a burn spell, you just burn your opponent, pay 3 mana, and that's about it. I think you'll be okay. But if you're into that sort of effect, that will be better than this. You can even take out a Grim Lavamancer and add another one. I would recommend adding another Rift Bolt to the mix, though, so that you make Incinerator more playable. Incinerator is backbreaking, but you need 4 Rift Bolt. Agreed. We're going to 4 Rift Bolt. How much is Incinerator? This is a budget deck. Please tell me you don't cost money. $1. We are $1. It's been reprinted. It's even less than $1 sometimes. You want the crappy promo. I want to buy it somewhere. Show me. Buy on 67 cents. There we go. 33 cents. Finally. The actual price is lower than what's been advertised. There we go. It's not too bad. Not too bad at all. There you have it, Chandra's Incinerator. All right. Well, anyway, that's for Decklist review. Ben, I hope that was some useful feedback. Good luck with Burn. It looks like Burn might have like a pretty good spot right now in the metagame, given... I think you just have to dodge the Uro decks. If you can dodge the Uro decks, it looks like it's gravy for Burn. Or if any Burn players have a good strategy versus the Uro decks, would love to hear it. I'd love to share it with everybody so you get Burn back on the map. Because it looks like Burn has some good matchups here. It probably has a very good matchup versus Rakdos Shadow, Rakdos Midrange. Not sure about its matchup against the Toolbox deck, but this is less of a tutoring deck than Amulet Titan. So I think it probably is going to do fine there. I would imagine it does great against Hammer Time because you can like just blow up creatures. Like you just snipe whatever gets the hammer or Searing Blaze it or something. Could be wrong. Maybe they can play patiently and wait to protect their creature with a hammer. Mono red aggro, I imagine they have the edge against Mill. Mill seems like a joke. Maybe not. They could Crypt Incursion, but you still have Skullcrack. Tron is a good matchup. Amulet Titan is a bad matchup. Death and Taxes, you should do fine. Ad Nauseam is a terrible matchup. Against Burn, it's a wash. Blitz, I think you should do well. So I think it's okay. It's okay. I play Surgical Extraction against Uro. Rest in Peace makes you lose too much tempo. Interesting. Nice idea. But then you have to make... Well, I guess Uro still works, right? So Surgical Extraction is even more interesting because... So Uro goes to the graveyard. Because if you have Rest in Peace, people can still cast Uro, right? They can just gain 3 life. But if you Surgical Extract it, then there's no more Uros left in the deck. They can't even cast it to explore and draw and gain 3 life. Anyway, that is it for Decklist review, and that's it for Coffee and MTG to start off the new year. Hopefully we start off with fire. I love everyone who showed up. Thank you very much for making Coffee and MTG just a special part of your day every single morning. If I didn't get to your comments and questions, we do this Monday to Friday, 9 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time to around like 10 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. So you better believe on Facebook and my 2 YouTube channels, you can find me. You can find Coffee and MTG and be part of the conversation. If you love the channel, if you love the show, give a thumbs up, give a like, give all the whatever you can do to help boost the algorithm. So this ends up showing up on the feed of somebody else's channel or Facebook page or some shit like that. Burn player here. I used to at least a splash for black for Rakdos Charm. Works pretty well. Interesting. That's a possibility. You lose Boros Charm and Lightning Helix, though, but maybe that's the adjustment that needs to be done for today's metagame. What else? Oh, if you love the channel, I'm gonna get the YouTube button. But if you're impatient to wait for the YouTube button, I do have patreon.com/Nikachu MTG, and you can subscribe at twitch.tv/Nikachu MTG. These are all good ways to support the channel, but I'm gonna get the YouTube join button soonish. Then you all get badges and crap like that whenever you post. They'll all know it's you. They'll all know you're a supporter, etc., etc. But anyway, thank you very much, everyone, for showing up. As usual, keep brewing that coffee, and we'll keep brewing up the magic. See you next time.